Hey party people, welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'm going to be doing another what I consumed this week, so let's get straight into it. First, I want to say thank you to anyone who watched, liked, or even commented on my last video. I don't think people understand how much positive interaction means when you're such a small channel and you're growing, and I really appreciate that. And this is definitely a series that I'm going to do hopefully every Wednesday. So the first article is one that I read on Substack, and it's called Antisocial Good. And it basically speaks about this strange morality complex that exists when it comes to social media, cancel culture, holding people accountable, whatever people want to define it as. But also how so much of the holding people accountable is never proportionate to the quote unquote crime that's committed, right? So say for example, a tweet from them in 2013 pops up of them calling someone a fat bitch, right? Having hundreds of thousands or hundreds of people comment telling you how you are such a horrible person, doxing you, your family, finding where you work, sending emails to your boss over something which is actually quite small is just so strange, but something that has become normalized. But also how this holding accountable is not fair across the board, because there are some people who belong in jail, under the jail, today, yesterday even, but they are still platformed, they're still able to monetize off of these platforms, they still have people who support them. And it's this idea that it's none of it holds true because it's not fair. And also how fickle it is, because there are people who have been run off the internet and they haven't even committed a crime. I remember there was this librarian on TikTok quite a while ago, I can't remember his name, and he worked as a librarian. He was passionate about books and working at a library, despite the fact, and also the fact that you have to have a degree. He was qualified for this. And all of a sudden there was just this hate that kind of lingered and manifested and grew because someone just thought he was weird and sinister. And it affected his mental health so much that he left social media, but also he had to leave his job for a while. And what was his crime? Just him being him. You know what I'm saying? It's just so flawed. And one of the most liked comments under this article, I'm going to read it out because I just thought it was so true and interesting, was, "I fear we are developing a compulsive need to dehumanize others as an outlet for personal gain, and it's genuinely going to end in their lives one day." And it is, I think what this article kind of highlighted is the fact that as a society we have accepted people, I'm not going to say me, people using the internet as their emotional boxing bag, and how it is absolutely fine or normal or expected or part and parcel of being on the internet for people to hurl abuse at you for no reason. For absolutely no reason. It's just such an interesting article, written so well, highlights so much nuance, it's fantastic. The second thing is this picture. And this is basically, I think, a bunch of university students. I'm going to put emojis over their faces because I don't know whether the person who took this video asked, because that's kind of strange. But they're all at dinner and everyone has their mobile phones piled up in the middle of the table. And I just thought this was so interesting. A, because young people are the ones who are always seen as being addicted to their phones. It's the damn phone, blah, blah, blah. But I also found it so refreshing and I really liked it. And there's almost this awakening, you can say, of people realizing that actually your phones take away from so much of the conversation that's happening, and putting them in the middle of the table. I really do wonder, are we going to get to places where restaurants will have a little basket in the middle of the table where you could just put your phones in so people aren't distracted? But I thought it was just so wholesome. I really liked that picture. The next thing that I read was the double-edged sword of self-awareness, but it's called something else. And it was this girl talking about how someone had called her the most self-aware person that they know, and her kind of dissecting this. And I have never ever identified with something so clearly, because there's this huge movement when it comes to self-awareness, self-identity, this and blah blah blah. But what I've realized from my own journey when it comes to kind of self-discovery, self-awareness, whatever it may be, is I have never doubted myself more. The more I understand, the more I am so self-aware, self-conscious, whatever it may be, enlightened, awakened, whatever you want to call it, the more I second guess and doubt and question absolutely everything. Like every decision is riddled with, why am I doing this? What's the real reason I'm doing this? Is there an agenda behind this? Is this unsolved? What's the true feeling? Like always trying to kind of backwards or re-engineer what it is that I'm doing and why I'm doing it. And this article kind of like highlights that, but also this overarching narrative of this like continuous needing to evolve. Whenever I see the word reinvent yourself, I feel like scraping my eyes out of their sockets, because it's almost makes it seem like you're never okay, like you're never fine, there's always work to do, you're always not at the point in life where you should be. And I think this article kind of like highlights just being aware that we're always going to evolve, change, sometimes regress, but just accepting that, you know what I mean? Accepting that that is fine and eventually we'll continue to grow. But there's not this insane pressure to always reinvent yourself. The only people that I think we need to really invent themselves is if you can look in the mirror and not find one redeeming quality about yourself, get that bitch from the inside out, you know what I mean? Then you can reinvent yourself. But most of us, we're all right. We're actually okay. Okay, the next is this TikTok, and this TikTok basically highlights this shift that I feel as though I've been seeing but never managed to put my finger on. And it speaks about the shift from social media to content media.
I mean by that, I have a lot of friends that I do not follow on TikTok. I follow them on Instagram, I follow them on Facebook, but I do not follow them on TikTok because their content on TikTok is just boring.
Yeah. And how before social media was a way that we would keep up with people in our regular lives, but people that we also like or aspire to be like, celebrities, influencers, people you identify with in some sort of capacity. But now it is just the funniest video, the most memeable thing. Like, when was the most recent time you've watched like 7 YouTube videos by the same person? You know what I mean? When have you actually kept tabs on someone? And even the way that so many algorithms are built now, if you think about TikTok, what I've always found interesting about TikTok is TikTok never pushes your content to the people who follow you. Like, it's not to your community, it's always just broadcasting to anyone and everyone. And it's not about community building anymore, it's just about putting out content. There's no social aspect to it anymore. And I just find that really, really interesting. But also, kind of, I definitely think like there's a huge fatigue and a plateau when it comes to that. Like, no one wants to hear and see about the same conversation 15, 16 times, you know what I mean? Anyways, another one is another TikTok which I saw, and it basically spoke about the death of luxury and luxury fashion. And this is something I have been seeing or hearing about because I don't buy luxury, you know what I mean? I'm not too into that world.
So luxury is really dead and over. Let's talk about it. So much happened in the month of November, but let's circle back to headlines about luxury fashion. So the article from Forbes that came out that basically alluded that Louis Vuitton and Zara have the exact same quality. TFL signaling that quiet luxury is over. Insider reporting on the industry alienating genz. Fortune come out with a crazy number that 50 million people have stopped buying luxury fashion. And the journal saying luxury has lost its touch. And what do all these things have in common? It is no longer cool to display wealth.
Because I can't afford it. But it was talking about this idea that there has definitely been a increase in a lot of design related costs, but the quality is allegedly arguably going down. And if you think about the article, I think it was the Dior bag that they were selling for like £2,500, and it was allegedly only worth or costing $47 to make. And whereas luxury before used to be something that was luxurious because of the materials, the craftsmanship, the design, and this, that, and the other, even luxury design has now fallen into the category of just virtue signaling wealth as opposed to being luxurious in its actual essence. And the person who made the TikTok kind of spoke about a reshaping or redefining of what luxury means and kind of creating that for yourself without it being anchored in products, you know what I mean? Having slow mornings, spending time with the people that you care about, gifting your loved ones things. And I just thought that was interesting because there's a lot of talk about luxury and people buying less of it, there needing to be ways in which they redefine what it is that they do, etc, etc. Okay, the next is a YouTube video that I've watched recently by Nathan Z. He is probably one of my favorite YouTubers. I think he just encapsulates filmmaking, editing, humor, storytelling so well. And in his most recent YouTube video, he kind of speaks about wanting to explore but also feeling like you are imprisoned in this comfort zone, this square, and like the need to escape it. And I don't know whether it's because we're very similar in age, I relate to it like a little bit more, but this continuous need of really trying to push yourself and break out of this square, you know, the comfort zone, which we find so comfortable, we find so amazing. But growth, you know what I mean, as much as overplayed as that saying is, growth really does exist out of the comfort zone, and I just thought it was lovely. And lastly, this is another Substack article that I read, and it's called Privacy is Sexy. And it kind of spoke to the frustrations of continuously needing to exist on the internet and share every aspect of your life. But the part which I resonated with the most was this kind of resentment towards having to have and participate in being online and creating an online avatar for yourself in every aspect of life, especially in places that you shouldn't. And they highlighted LinkedIn, and I've never, oh my goodness me, it pisses me off how much you have to create like an over-exaggerated, successful, every little thing. Drinking water needs to become an article and an accomplishment in your day for you to post on LinkedIn to be seen as a viable person for a job. And yet you still need a CV. What are we doing here? It annoys me so much. So I have to have a CV, I need to do a cover letter, and now I have to continue keeping up this online avatar of myself. I don't care. We don't care. I hate reading through it. I hate participating in it. I don't like it at all. But I don't know, it just speaks to like, it speaks to this idea that you almost have to exist better online in order to be considered in real life. And that's so annoying, and that's so sad, and that is just exhausting. But yes, these are 7 things that I have consumed this week. I really like, I think these are more like essay heavy. You know, I've got a good mix in there. I've got a good mix of stuff. If you like this video, give it a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next video next week. Take care. Bye!